Hello and welcome to today's podcast on Daily Dose. This is a program on Victor Inspires that brings to you sustainable and workable principles for your transformation in order for you to live your best life and be the best you. My name is Victor John Edet and I'm super excited to connect with you today. On our previous podcast, we talked about developing time management skills and considering the time which we find ourselves, it's essential and it's very important that we have time management skills because a lot of people lack time management skills and they fail to achieve their goals, they fail to achieve their aim. Not that they don't know what to do, they know what to do, but the fact that they don't know how to make good use of their time, then they fail to achieve their goals because God gave every man equal time on earth. But how is it that some persons are able to use their time effectively and some keep complaining, I don't have all the time, there are not enough time to achieve my goals. But yet there are people that have used the time God has given to them, which generally each human on earth have 24 hours a day, and they've been able to use that time to achieve a lot, and yet they still have much time left and they had to do other things, but yet some other persons complain. All right, so on our previous podcast we discussed about developing time management skills, and we looked at how we can develop time management skills because a lot of people find themselves in this category where, number one, they don't prioritize their work. Okay, they just start their day and they start running without knowing which among their tasks comes first. You being able to prioritize your work will help you stay focused because you will know where to channel your energy to, because there are a lot of things that we do that necessarily we are not supposed to. We spend more times on the things that are not important, leaving the things that are important undone. Okay, so it's key that we prioritize our work. We know the number one important thing we need to do first when we wake up in the morning, when we start our day. Okay, so prioritizing our work is key because in prioritizing your work, you know which is important and which you should delegate to others to do. So prioritizing is key. Secondly, create a schedule. A lot of people don't create a schedule. All right, so if it means you working with a to-do list or a diary where you write out your schedule for the day, by so time I need to be here, or I need to do this at this particular time, or I need to take this class. Schedule all your work. When you do this, you'll be able to harness and make good use of your time. A lot of people don't know how to schedule their work. They don't have a to-do list. It's not just enough to just prioritize your work. Yes, you prioritize your work, but you schedule time and how you want it, when it should be done. All right, so we moved on saying start early. When you wake up in the morning, we are more productive in the morning, much more productive. So that's the time we are expected to sit back and plan our day. Start with that which is important. A lot of people start with the one that is not important. In fact, take care of the most difficult tasks in your schedule, because when you do that, you are channeling all your energy in achieving that. But when you channel your energy into little things that are really not of importance, leaving the big things undone, when it's time to take care of it, it becomes a problem. Okay, so set up a deadline. While you're working, while you have to achieve your goal, set up a deadline. When you set a deadline, it helps you work, it helps you stay focused in order for you to achieve your goal. These and many more we spoke about in our last podcast. And if you haven't listened to our last podcast, I will encourage you to do so. in order for you to get maximum value. Because for you to be successful, you need to develop time management skill. On today's podcast, we will be discussing about fear and anxiety. A lot of us find ourselves being in a state of anxiety, thereby limiting what we can do and what we can achieve. So today we'll be talking about dealing with fear and anxiety. How can we deal with fears and anxiety in our life? These we will be discussing when we come back from this short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we will be discussing about dealing with fear and anxiety. Fear and anxiety often occur together, but these terms are not interchangeable, even though symptoms commonly overlap. Alright, so a person's experience with these emotions differs based on their context. Fear relates to a known or understood threat, whereas anxiety follows from an unknown, expected, or poorly defined threat. So, fear and anxiety both produce a similar stress response. But many experts believe that there are important differences between the two. These differences can account for how we react to various stressors in our environment. Okay, so muscle tension, increased heart rate, and shortness of breath mark the most significant physiological symptoms associated with a response to danger. These bodily changes result from an inborn fight or flight stress response thoughts to be necessary for our survival. So without this stress response, our mind wouldn't receive the alerting danger signal, and our bodies will be unable to prepare to flee or stay in battle when faced with danger. But as we discuss along, first of all, I need us to have an understanding of what is anxiety. Right? So anxiety is a diffused, unpleasant, vague sense of apprehension. It's often a response to an imprecise or unknown threat, such as an uneasiness you might feel while walking down a dark street alone. Alright, so that's anxiety. So your uneasiness in this situation could be caused by anxiety related to the possibility of something bad happening. This is what most of us feel even in achieving our goal. Sometimes we just feel that something bad might happen, we might not achieve our set goal. So this causes anxiety for us. Alright, so such as being harmed by a stranger rather than an immediate threat. This anxiety stems from your mind's interpretation of the possible dangers. So anxiety is often accompanied by many uncomfortable somatic physical sensations. Some of most common physical symptoms of anxiety include accelerated heart rate, chest pain, cold chills or hot flushes, depersonalization and derealization, dizziness or feeling faint, excessive sweating, feeling like you've gone insane, headaches, muscle pain and tension, numbness or tinglings, ringing or pulsing in ears, shaking and trembling, shortness of breath, sleep disturbances, tightness felt throughout the body, especially in the head, neck, jaw and face, upset stomach or nausea. So these are the symptoms of anxiety, because a lot of us sometimes we just feel so anxious about something we are doing, not that we really don't know what we are doing or where we are heading to, but we start thinking like having this bad feelings that it's going to fail. That's why so many people don't succeed, because of anxiety. You are so worried that even when there's no possibility of what you are doing failing, especially in our marriages, in our relationship, in our careers. You just have this feeling that this is going to fail, and causing limitation within yourself. When you start feeling anxious about something, also it affects your health. Okay, so we need to deal with anxiety in order for us to be successful. What then is fear? Because we've considered what is anxiety. Now let's look at fear. Fear is an emotional response to a known or definite threat. If you're walking down a dark street, for example, and someone points a gun at you and say, "This is a robbery," then you will likely experience a fear response, which is normal. The danger is real, definite, and immediate. That's a clear and present object of the fear. Okay, so although the focus of the response is different, the real or imagined danger, fear and anxiety are interrelated. When faced with fear, most people will experience the physical reaction that are described under anxiety. Fear can cause anxiety, yes. Right? So an anxiety can cause fears. Both of them can cause each other. Okay, so but the subtle distinction between the two give you a better understanding of your symptoms may be important for treatment strategies. Okay, so how then can we combat fear and anxiety? As we begin to deal with fear and anxiety, one thing I want us to take into cognizance, which is very important, is we trying to avoid fear and anxiety. As it sounds, it's very important that we face it, because one way of dealing with fear and anxiety is avoid avoidance. What do I mean? You're not running away from your fears, because when you run away from your fears, or when you try to avoid your fears, it prevents you from moving forward. It makes you anxious. So you need to be gentle with yourself and do only what feels safe to you. If you find yourself getting more panicking, take a break and find something pleasant or comforting to notice or do. If it feels safe later, you can try to expose your fear again. So taking breaks is very important. Alright, so if you find it difficult to address chronic fears or anxiety on your own, note that therapy can be invaluable in helping walk through avoiding strategies. So if you have experienced trauma, it is especially important to work with a therapist to create a safe environment where you can face your fear and reconstruct your memories. Because if the fear or anxiety is milder, you can try mindfulness. Alright, and we've been discussing about mindfulness in most of our podcasts. It's very important that you try mindfulness meditation techniques, right? Because all you need to do is sit quietly and observe the present moment. If fear or anxiety arises, recognize it. If you can, be curious. Observe the anxiety. Notice how it feels in your body. Notice any associated thoughts. See if you can observe it as it is. Don't get involved in the story or try to get rid of it or change it. And when you need, take a break and turn your attention to something neutral, like your breath or hands in your lap. Note that anytime you feel too agitated to be curious, it may be best to stop and open your eyes and notice objects in the room or take a walk, right? Because Thich Nhat Hanh says, every time your fear is invited up, every time you recognize it and smile at it, your fear will lose some of its strength. So it's important that we face our fear. We're trying to avoid our fear. We keep building our fear, and it will limit us, it will prevent us from moving forward. So another way to deal with fear and anxiety is to develop a healthy sense of personal control. A lot of us don't have personal control. The emphasis is on personal control. Stress-hardy people focus their energy on those events that they have influence over rather than situations beyond their control. So the serenity prayer attributed to American theologian Reinhold Niebuhr expresses this well. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You need to have personal control over things because God has given you the grace, the strength to accept the things you cannot change, and the courage to change the things you can, and also the wisdom to know the difference. Alright, so it is key that we develop a healthy sense of personal control. And also, you need to promote positivity. A lot of people have been promoting negativity, and because of that, they have invited fear and anxiety into their life, and their level of fear and anxiety is so high that, come on. So in order for you to deal with that, you need to start promoting positivity. Fear causes us to notice and remember negative events, which reinforces our sense that the world is a scary place. We can work to change that by deliberately noticing what is positive. The joy we'll feel when we see someone we love, the pleasure of a sunny day, the beauty in nature, the fun of an outing, the humor in a situation. According to research by Barbara Fredrickson, positivity broadens our perspective. We literally have a wider view, which offers us more options. And the more we practice positivity, the more it builds. So it helps us in creating a resilience that allows us to function even in difficult times. So you need to start promoting positivity and start ejecting negativity. So if you've been living, or if you've been promoting negativity, you need to start promoting positivity so you can deal with fears and anxiety in our life. Another way to deal with fear and anxiety is find meaning. A lot of us don't find meaning in life due to the experience we've had. All right, so because of that, we have lived in the experience and not wanting to come out of the experience in order for us to gain meaning for life and move on. So fear can shatter our sense of the world as we know it. Those who have experienced trauma may also have experienced real losses that further led them to question the meaning of their lives. Trauma survivors also often feel guilty about what happened, feeling illogically that they could have somehow prevented it, and this shame can also contribute to doubt about their meaning. Whether we suffer from anxiety or trauma, it is important to rediscover a sense of purpose. An 80-year study of factors contributing to longevity found that individuals who return to healthy behaviors after trauma are the ones able to find meaning in a traumatic experience and reestablish a sense of security about the world. So when you lose meaning over something, over your life, then you dwell in a realm of fear and anxiety. So it's very key that we come out from our experience and begin to find meaning to life. And one other way to deal with fear and anxiety, which I will say is the last point on this podcast for today, is get support. Fear can also cause us to feel disconnected from others. The Longevity Project also found that one of the key predictors for longevity of people who had encountered trauma in their lives was the strength of their social relationships. A lot of us, we've lost our social relationship due to what has happened in our life. We decided to be alone. We decided to become introvertic, not wanting to relate, have social relationship with others, you need to get support, because there are many reasons for this. Friends and family can help us make a realistic assessment of the threat. With the support of others, we'll feel more confident that we can deal with issues. And physically, having a loved one close calms us and reduces the fight or flight response. So it's key that we get support in order for us to deal with fear and anxiety. In order for us to be successful, in order for us to live our best life, we need to deal with fear and anxiety, because this has limited people. This has made a lot of people to not achieve their goals. This has made a lot of people to not be successful. So we need to put this in place and start getting ourselves out of the cage, out of the prison of fear and anxiety for us to be successful. I believe you got value from today's podcast, and I believe you will put the principles you have learned today into practice in order for you to be free from fear and anxiety. But I must tell you, it's not just a day job that you just get into and over 1 hour or 2 hours you are out of fear and anxiety. Constant practice takes you out of fear and anxiety and gives you the confidence to achieve everything God has planted within you for you to do. Until I come your way again, my name is Victor John Edet. Be the best you.